Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. TJ Watt kind of turning into LeBron James, says former Patriots safety. The Pittsburgh Steelers have a history of unbelievable defenders, but none of them have gotten more sacks with the franchise than TJ Watt. Since Watt was drafted in 2017, he's done nothing but get better. He's a premier game wrecker that's been snubbed for awards a time or two. For those reasons, former New England Patriots safety Devin McCourty believes Watt has joined elite company. McCourty was with the Patriots from 2010 to 2022, being a cornerstone of multiple championship defenses. Appearing recently on Annie Agar's podcast, The Offensive Line, McCourty spoke about why Watt would be his choice for Defensive Player of the Year this season. TJ Watt is kind of turning into LeBron James on defense, McCourty said. There's this certain level of expectation that is greatness, but we look at it like, that's just TJ Watt. That's what he does. When you take a step back, that's not normal. TJ Watt is starting to climb into that level with Aaron Donald, his brother JJ Watt, where they just have a certain level of dominance every single year. That's massive praise from McCourty. James is arguably the greatest basketball player to ever live, and even in his 21st season, he was still one of the best in the world. Watt is only entering his 8th season, so he doesn't have the same longevity as James, but he's almost as dominant. James, like Watt, has a history of arguably being snubbed for major awards. He famously was overlooked for the 2013 Defensive Player of the Year award. Even though they play different sports and are very different people, James and Watt do have funny things like that in common. McCourty saying that Watt is entering the same company as his brother, JJ, and Donald is incredible too. Those two are some of the best defenders of all time, and at their peaks, they had an argument for the best defensive player ever. Receiving that kind of comparison from a former All-Pro defender speaks to how respected Watt is. If Watt can stay healthy, he should continue to reset expectations for himself like James. Hopefully he can have the same type of extended dominance that James has had as well. James also struggled in the postseason early in his career, so maybe Watt can break his poor playoff luck like the NBA superstar did. Just as long as he doesn't leave the team that drafted him to do it like James did. Pittsburgh Steelers Brandon Aiyuk Consolation Prize, trade target revealed. Especially given the uncertainty at wide receiver and the strong overtures the Steelers made for Aiyuk, General Manager Omar Khan might not be anywhere close to done working the phones. Bleacher Report NFL analyst Christopher Knox put together a list of 10 potential trade targets ahead of Week 1 of the season, with the Steelers eyeing Treylon Burks in a potential deal with the Tennessee Titans. The Pittsburgh Steelers don't have a proven number 2 receiver behind George Pickens, Knox writes for BR, and should probably be linked to just about any wideout who becomes available. According to The Athletic's Diana Rossini, the Steelers were close to acquiring Aiyuk, but things fell apart when the Denver Broncos wouldn't send Courtland Sutton to the 49ers. Burks could seamlessly walk into the role as the Steelers' number 2 wide receiver, and could benefit from a change of scenery where he'll likely struggle to see meaningful reps with the Titans once DeAndre Hopkins returns to full health and thanks to T. Higgins' arrival. Through 2 seasons since being chosen in the first round of the 2022 NFL Draft, Burks has caught 49 passes for 665 yards and 1 touchdown. Burks' versatility to line up in the slot or on the perimeter and with the frame to be a consistent red zone weapon could make him the perfect fit for the Steelers' offense. Coming out of Pittsburgh's 9-3 loss to the Buffalo Bills, the team's quarterback situation does not look that promising. Both Russell Wilson and Justin Fields struggled with various things over the night, and neither separated themselves from the other. With that in mind, the rest of the team around Wilson and Fields struggled significantly, too. As Mike Tomlin said, coming out of the game gave Fields and Wilson tough evaluations. Instead of gaining clarity, the Steelers fell more into muddy waters. It's somewhat of an incomplete study because you just don't get a chance to see him operate or us establish rhythm and personality when you're not winning possession downs, and we weren't, Tomlin said. The first 3 or so series of the game, it was 3 and out, and you're not going to get an opportunity to establish rhythm or play the way that you would like as an individual or a collective. Coming into the game, Wilson remained in pole position, according to Tomlin. After a stagnant performance like that, it will make the Steelers reevaluate things, but Fields was far from perfect, too. However, former Steelers defensive lineman Chris Hoke believes that as things stand, Wilson is the team's starting quarterback despite the struggles on offense. Russell Wilson, barring something dramatic, is your Week 1 starter, Hoke said. But if the offense looks like it did today in those first 5 drives, I think you have to start talking. But right now, it's Russell Wilson's job. As always, the Steelers will naturally gravitate toward the veteran player. Wilson has the pedigree that Tomlin and others will appreciate, which is why he is currently in the role he has. However, since he is on the veteran minimum, the Steelers will not have innate loyalty to him over Fields. If he starts to struggle, the leash could be short, and Fields could be the beneficiary of that. Pittsburgh Steelers rookie out with new calf injury. Pittsburgh Steelers rookie defensive lineman Logan Lee has a calf injury. He did not practice on Wednesday, and it appears that injury could sideline him. Lee was a surprise inactive against the Detroit Lions in their final preseason game, and presumably, he is dealing with the same injury that caused him to miss that game. Lee is the 8th defensive lineman on the Steelers roster, so him being inactive seemed likely from the jump. However, with a calf injury, the Steelers could put him on injured reserve to promote someone they may like on the practice squad. With Lee not practicing, the Steelers' top 7 defensive linemen took all the snaps that he would have had during practice. The Steelers' rookie class has been banged up throughout the preseason. First-round pick Troy Fautanu and third-round pick Roman Wilson all missed significant time with injuries. Sixth-round pick Ryan Watts is out for the season with a neck injury and remains in a neck brace. Now, Lee has a calf issue that could force him to miss the start of the season. The Steelers' 6th-round pick out of Iowa, Lee worked mostly at nose tackle throughout the preseason after a shoulder injury to Braden Fehoko caused the Steelers to move on from him and need depth. Lee is a natural 5 technique, however, and that is likely where he will slot in for the future rather than at nose tackle. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of Logan Lee? Leave your opinion in the comments.